Hello and welcome to What the Lux with me, Fred Moore.
And me, Anand Sharma.
Together we lead Matterform, a design consultancy specialising in brand, digital experience and content. And this is a podcast that calls time on tired ideas of luxury.
Alongside industry luminaries and thought leaders, we explore what truly defines category-leading products and services.
Today on What the Lux, we're joined by Leona Qi, President of VistaJet US. Leona's journey from Wall Street to the skies has redefined what leadership looks like in the private aviation sector. With her deep financial expertise and a sharp eye for innovation, she's led VistaJet's US expansion whilst championing sustainability, exceptional service, and greater diversity in the industry. Leona, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. So I should probably disclose at the beginning of this podcast, I'm an aviation nut. I come from a family of, as we say in the UK, propeller heads, starting with two great uncles who were airline pilots for KLM and Aer Lingus. My father, who's a private aviator, and some of my best memories are flying in a Cessna across to France on adventures with him. And, you know, in my time, I've met people in the aviation industry, in aircraft leasing, in the airline sector. And the thought occurred to me when I was preparing for this interview is every one of them is a man. And the obvious first question I'd love to ask is, you're a woman in aviation, executive in private aviation. How unusual is that?
Well, thank you. First of all, it's fascinating that your background. I think we have a lot to talk about. And I think there is a misconception for women in aviation. A lot of times, this is what we're trying to educate the public as well as specifically next generation. There are a lot of sectors in private aviation, right? When people think about women working in aviation, the first thing that pops to mind is that you must be working in a cabin as a flight attendant. But there are many departments in the company. You could be in sales, you could be doing marketing, you could be doing private dining, you could be doing engineer, you could be an engineer, you could be obviously be a pilot. We actually last year when we were celebrating International Women's Day, we landed an aircraft that had women first officer, women captain, as well as the flight attendant.
Yeah, and going back into there's obviously that side of aviation, but in the management side which you're in, when you first moved into your current role, there were, I think, less than 3% of women executives in aviation or private aviation. What's the stat now?
Unfortunately, I don't think it's much higher than 3%. I think is probably around 5 or 6%, but it's definitely changing. And it's not just in private aviation. I came from a background in finance on Wall Street, so that's also a very much male-dominated field.
Yes.
Where I think the way that I'm always thinking, how do we change the perception? So there is, NBAA in the US and there's EBA in Europe. When we go to air shows, there's always a student day. We want to educate the next generation to let them know that it's possible. And me and my peers, we're going to lead by example to show them why that there is a future in private aviation. And at VistaJet specifically, we hire, when we look at who we want to hire, we very much focus on talent. And it's definitely based on performance.
Yeah.
And because of that, our management team, there are 40% of them, they're actually women.
Really?
So we're really proud of that.
So 40% in VistaJet management?
In VistaJet, middle management and above.
Yeah, that's great.
Female.
That's great to hear. So I want to come back to you and your career, but I think the listeners would love to know, can you just tell us about VistaJet and also what it does? What's the business model?
So VistaJet, we own and operate a fleet of over 300 aircraft. And the aircraft does nothing else, but they're dedicated to our members around the world to provide them a subscription-based business model, where we provide them a guaranteed availability, access to our closed fleet anywhere in the world with a fixed hourly rate. Okay,
and how do you make your money?
How do we make our money?
Yes, because the one thing I was, again, when thinking about your business model is that you can obviously buy into you're not own it's not ownership, you're taking charters essentially, and you own or lease a fleet of jets, so they can't be idle for very long, can they? It must be a real logistical challenge to make sure that they're used enough to make the appropriate margins.
Correct. So in our business model, it's very important to make sure that the aircraft is not sitting there empty, like you said, right? So we prefer, a lot of times customers ask me, where are your aircraft based?
Yeah.
So the answer is that we prefer them to be based in the sky. So we we are all looking at what we call the utilization. So if you look at our addressable market, there's around 10,000 aircraft around the world, business aircraft. They are super mid to ultra long range. That's what VistaJet, our fleet, is focused on, right? So super mid is from 8-seater, and then ultra long range, where our fleet, we have 14 seaters. So the average usage of corporate jet is around 150 hours per year. So a lot of times they're sitting idle. Where at VistaJet, our aircraft flies around 800 to 1,000 hours per year per aircraft. So that's how we make our money. And we're also want to make sure, because the corporate aircraft itself, there's a lot of inefficiencies. We'll get into that, and why people still want to fly them, why is absolutely necessary, and it's a business tool to fly corporate aircraft. So going back to the VistaJet business model is that we basically lease this aircraft, lease the time really to our customers, because our business model to the client, they're asset free. They don't have the asset risk. They're paying us the fixed hourly rates upfront, and they're flying down those hours. They're committed to us. It's a multiple year contract. In return, what we're guaranteeing our customers is guaranteed availability on closed fleets with 24-hour booking notice around the world. And we're on the business side, what we need to make sure is that we have an evenly distributed customer base around the world. So meaning that if I have a customer flying from New York to London on a Global 6000, I'm going to use the Global 6000, which is 14-seater, an aircraft with 13-hour range as an example. What we want to make sure is that we have another customer in London that can pick it up and fly that aircraft to Shanghai. And the next customer in Shanghai can pick that up and fly that aircraft, let's call it Dubai. And then the last customer can fly it from Dubai to LA.
So how do you, I suppose the question with that is, how do you end up not disappointing a customer who can't get on a leg they want to do? How does that work? It must be a logistical feat of achievement, to make that happen.
Well, that is a great question. It's $1 billion question, right? So the company started 21 years ago. By our chairman and founder, Thomas Floor. It started with one single aircraft, and that's a Learjet, and it started in Europe. So the company, throughout a year, throughout organic growth, so it grew the fleet first, and then find the next customer that want to do the subscription-based business model. When the aircraft, the member is not flying, we will sell the last legs, the availability, to the marketplace. So it's always been our business model. So for example, in the beginning, start with one aircraft, then have friends and family that want to lease the aircraft, and then it's not enough. When you see the opportunity, you will pre-order, right? So you will see in the news, VistaJet ordered another 20 aircraft. So we'll pre-order the fleet, and then we'll take delivery, grow the customer base at the same time. So when I joined the company, that's almost 10 years ago, we had less than 30 aircraft. Today we have close to 300 aircraft. So we have an internal algorithm. What we do is that we will have the members flying with the fixed hourly rates business model that we guarantee the access with the replication to ownership experience. The members are flying, and then we have so-called spot charter, right? So we'll sell the availability to the marketplace. So there's a ratio to that. When that ratio reaches a certain point, that means that we will need to either buy new aircraft, or we need to stop selling the closed fleet subscription-based business model, because that means that we cannot guarantee the member the aircraft anymore. Per contract, we will need to do that.
Understood.
And it took us 21 years to make sure, specifically on ultra long range, the Global 6000, Global 7500 aircraft series, that we have globally evenly distributed customer base.
Yeah. Okay. And it's interesting. I think people would also be interested to know the obvious question: who is it who's chartering, who's joining up to VistaJet? Who are these people?
So our customer base are ultra high net worth individuals and corporates. So there are Fortune 500 companies, as well as some small governments. Obviously, confidentiality is number one in what we do. Safety, confidentiality, and privacy. But you will see some people often post us on Instagram with hashtag Vista. So you will see some of the flyers, but really people fly us because it's a time machine, and also the tails cannot be tracked. So we have over close to 300 aircraft. whenever you take off and land, you're on a VistaJet tail. There's no way for anyone to know who's actually flying that tail.
I mean, that's really interesting because it's extraordinary what you can pick up on the apps of who's flying where with the identification. But you're saying in the whole of your fleet, you can tell it's VistaJet, but you can't tell anything beyond that. So there's privacy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Amazing. I didn't realize that. So it's a mixture of private and corporate. I suppose what is it that is it a fun industry to work in?
Yes, I think it's actually what attracts me. I used to be working in the finance world.
Yeah.
And I've been doing this for the past, including my previous work right before VistaJet, is in the aircraft financing business. And before that, I was literally on the trading floor for over a decade. What's exciting about working at a VistaJet is that every single day is different. So today, we over 300 aircraft. We have a flight takeoff and landing every 2 minutes. And each flight is different. And who's flying it and why are they taking the trip? So for me, that's fascinating because each single flight takeoff, we are somehow changing the world, right? There's stats each single time a private aircraft land in a place. There are very meaningful financial impact that is making to the region. So sometimes on average is $20 million. Whether corporate executives going there to do a deal, a M&A deal, to provide local opportunities for people, job opportunities. So that's really fascinating to me. And we have the privilege, some of the customers being with us for over a decade, we have the privilege to see them from a startup to do their Series A funding and B funding, and we fly them to the New York Stock Exchange to see their company going IPO. And sometimes we fly people to their loved ones to their celebrating their milestones. And sometimes, unfortunately, we fly some customers in the worst times of their lives. So it's really a privilege to have a front row seats to share those experiences with our customers.
Can we move on to some of the really fun bits around the private aviation experience? Can you just talk about, you do some incredible things at VistaJet in terms of the experience, some innovation on that side. Can you talk through a couple of the examples, e.g. the kids programming or some of the collaborations you do?
Of course. So at VistaJet, what we do, like I said, we own the assets, right? And where the asset does nothing else, the number one priority is to make sure to give our members a replication to ownership. So our members and their passion are definitely the heartbeats of our company. So throughout the years, we observed what our lead passengers on the plane, what's their passion points are, because our mantra is that we wanted to make sure each customer, their lifestyle from the ground to sky is not disrupted. So we developed all sorts of programs. We have a pet program, which is called Vista Pet. We have a kids program, it's called Adventures in the Sky. We launched a wellness program last year. You could do yoga in the sky. We have a very nutritious meal that's designed by a nutritionist. And we actually just launched yesterday with Barbara Sturm.
Yes.
We're going to be able to offer the very first in the sky facial where our entire cabin crew is trained. So I wanted to talk about a kids program because myself, I have 3 kids. The kids program was launched about 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So what we did is that we trained our entire cabin crew, the flight attendant with the Northern College in London. So they have basic knowledge. So the kids program is catered to children aged from 12 months to 16 years old. So we can provide, basic, there's kids menu and we have kids amenities. So there's coloring books and toys. We also partnered with Sharky and George based in London.
Kids entertainers of some renown. Yeah.
Kids entertainers, exactly. So even if the kids entertainers are not on board, they could provide hampers. For example, there's Spy Kids. There's kids for picnic. It's called Alice in the Wonderland. It depends on, what your kids' interests are. And for flights over 4 hours, we could also help organize a language class. So there are over 16 language courses you could choose from. So if your kids are taking French lessons while they're flying, they could continue with that class. We can organize a tutor on board.
Yeah, I mean, that's incredible and unexpected in a way to hear that.
It's something that, 25% of our flights have a child under the age of 16 on board.
Yeah.
Even though rarely, I would say probably never, they're never the paying party, meaning that they're not the lead passenger, but their satisfaction and happiness are often very, very important to the passenger. So we wanted to make sure they're happy.
Yeah, on the service experience element of it.
Exactly.
That's true. And I just want, and just going back to you yourself, you must travel an awful lot. I think it'd be fascinating to know, you have 3 kids, but how many days a year do you think you're traveling?
I travel around, I would say, 250 to 300 hours a year.
Yeah. How many days is that in other countries, or roughly?
So roughly how many days? I split my time between US and Europe.
Yeah.
So I would say every other week, if not every week, I'll be in the United States. So typically it's Monday to Friday.
And I have to ask, do you ever fly commercial?
I do. For all the long haul, I fly commercial.
Yeah, of course. And what are some of the, I imagine you're in Saint-Tropez for a Grand Prix or a awards event or something like that. What are the kind of events that VistaJet ties up with, or that you attend in your role?
We have a lot of events. Our marketing, we have a very good marketing team and partnership team. So we have a lot of customers. You can see we have brand ambassadors in the sports world, for example, and also in the culinary world. So what we do is that we organize this event to give our customers specific, very unique access to different events around the world, because what we want to provide is an experience. I think nowadays that's what luxury is, because people want to be able to connect. It's not just about these events are exclusive, but also most importantly, at these events, you could meet people that have similar interests with you.
Yeah.
So for example, we have been partnered with the Ferrari Scuderia team for the F1 for over the past 5 years. So we give our members unique access around the world to all the Grand Prix events with the Ferrari team. I just came back from Miami. I hosted customers at a Miami Grand Prix at the Paddock Club with Ferrari, and we have the privilege to really visit a garage, specifically during the race, where our clients, our customers could wear the headsets and listening to the intercoms of the Ferrari team. And the same this year, I will be going to Monaco to host some customers at a Monaco Grand Prix. I don't go to all of them because otherwise I just don't have all of that time. We have different regional executives will be going to different events.
What's interesting about your experience and the industry you operate in, so you previously ran VistaJet in Asia, is that right?
Asia Pacific, correct.
Asia Pacific. And then the US, obviously the US by definition you know well, and Europe where you live. Are you positive about the world at the moment and the economy and what's happening in luxury and just in general? Because presumably you're pretty well plugged in given the nature of your industry and the people you interact with.
Yes, of course. I think, that's a very, very interesting question. It's actually a question that, I think about every day, right?
Yeah.
Because our business, what VistaJet is aiming to do, and for me, what I'm aiming to do is to make the world smaller, right? So we can connect people and connect businesses, connect industries, make the world smaller. And today we're at a very particular time. I feel like in history where it seems like we have a lot of uncertainties.
Yeah.
However, with my background from Wall Street, I think what Wall Street taught me, because it's all about manage risks and manage risks giving the imperfect information, because you don't have all the information you have. So you have to use the information you have to manage that risk. And I think what's interesting about doing business in different parts of the world is that you get to know the people. I always think that for a business, being global is very much about being local. So it's about how you can adapt and being agile and listen to what each different region, each customer wants, because what customer A wants may be very different from what customer B wants or expect. At VistaJet, our very job is to make sure that we can cater to all of that customers. From small things, for example, our routes in Asia, we have TK40 sake from Nobu, because Nobu is a partner served on board, and in the United States, we often have Casamigo tequila served on board, because that's a lot of times what our customers are looking for. These are just the small things, and we're from in Asia Pacific, Middle East, we offer slippers on board because that's what customers are expecting. So as a business, we wanted to make sure that we offer that in different parts of the world. I think globalization has been around and has been around for a reason. And I don't think that will go away anytime. We're at a volatile time, but my job and our company's job is to make sure that in this environment, given the information we have, we can manage the risks.
Yes, yeah, and keep everything moving.
Exactly.
Yeah. When we get towards the end of the podcast, we ask the same 4 questions to each of our guests. And if it's okay, I'd love to do that with you. The first question is, what would you most like to change about your industry?
I think my industry, what I would like to change, in the past 5 years, actually, there's been a lot of consolidation in our industry already because it's quite a fragmented industry. And a lot of times, it's not as transparent as I would like. For example, from a pricing and safety perspective, specifically, because, if you want to fly, let's say with commercial airlines, you could do a Google search and you will search if you want to serve the safest airline in the world, right? It's being ranked and rated every year.
Yes.
You could pretty much, you can see all the results, where in our industry it's very difficult. We have different ratings, international accreditations, where VistaJet participates in all of them because safety is paramount, is very, very important. And also pricing, right? So, for example, if you want a flight from New York to Palm Beach, you will see a very, very different range. And sometimes from an outsider or from a consumer point, it's very difficult to understand that. I would like to see more transparency in our industry. And that's why at Vista, we have another company, that we ran under, it's called XO, right?
Yes.
So we're the first platform that offer instantaneous pricing, so you could see the aircraft specs, what you're booking, the pricing, and how many seats this aircraft have. So we want to be the pioneer in that.
And so that's more of the Uber type business model.
Uber-ish, yes. So it's open fleet business model. We have access. We work with different operators, and we have audited just over 2,400 aircraft around the world that they pass our safety standard, and they will give us the pricing. So it's instantaneous pricing.
Yeah, got you. The second question is, what most concerns you about the world we're leaving the next generation, your kids?
My kids. That's also something I think about very often. And I think even compared to when I was younger, I think today's world, I wish that there could be more long-term thinking. I think a lot of times today, it's very much about a quick fix. And, from Instagram to TikTok, where people are often, in my opinion, want to share what they're doing and want to see results very, very quickly. I wish that we could be more thoughtful in terms of approach and in everything that we do in terms of the process, and have a better foundation into things so that could leave a long-term impact.
Yes. Yeah. The penultimate question we always ask is, if you had to give up your job tomorrow, you're not allowed to do this job or work in private aviation, what would you do?
First of all, I'm very interested in all the luxury sector. I think I'll do that. But most importantly, I really want to mentor the next generation of female leaders. Because I don't think there are enough. I think you kind of asked me, and one metric that I often use is also the lead passengers at VistaJet, because VistaJet fly business leaders. When I just joined the company over 10 years ago, the lead passenger at VistaJet, the percentage was very low, it was around 5%. So I have always believed that when the lead passenger at VistaJet reach parity, that means that in the boardroom, women and men will reach parity. And what's incredible is that in the next 10 years, in the wealth management world, is the greatest wealth transfer in the next 10 years.
Yes.
In the very first time over the next 5 years, women will have more money than men in the entire globe because of the wealth transfer in terms of from inheritance to the next generation. So women, there will be more power in terms of spending power in women's hands. And I wanted to make sure that in terms of talent, I can mentor the next generation of female leaders. I hope I have 2 daughters and a son. I hope that when they're in their adult life, if one of my girls is a business executive, she would just be called a business leader, not a female business leader.
And not asking loads of questions about being a woman in an industry, which we have on this podcast. That shouldn't be on the topic.
Correct.
I suppose.
That would be the dream.
Yeah. Thank you. The last question is, what's the most exciting thing for you in the next 5 years?
The most exciting thing for me in the next 5 years really is to see the industry, the luxury industry sector, specifically Vista, to continue to innovate, because we have now, right? For example, we're incorporating technology such as AI into what we do to do things more efficiently. I want to see a lot of innovations in the industry. And again, our job is really to make the world smaller and to connect people.
Yeah. Leona, thank you very much. That was a fascinating overview of your role and the private aviation industry. It's really appreciated you coming on the podcast today.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, Fred.
Pleasure.
Thanks so much for listening. This has been What the Lux. You can find us on socials at Much Reform, and drop us any questions or comments on Twitter using the hashtag #WhatTheLux. Or if you're a luxury brand looking for strategy and design that goes beyond the banal, get in touch via hello@muchreform.com and chat to one of our consultants.